hello everyone who is listening or watching this. This is kind of a podcast slash discussion of future My Hero Academia weekly chapters. Hopefully, this becomes more of a common thing that we can do, just based on everyone's timing. But what we have today, we want to discuss the recent chapter 259 that has kind of a lot of controversy behind it, in which we'll probably get into. But otherwise, you also want to delve into the other things that were in the chapter that actually make it pretty interesting. So uh, it's just the four of us today to talk about it. Um, Interesting chapter, I guess to say. I think you all agree on that. That is a good chapter, besides the drama.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Oh yeah, it's great. Good
Mm-hmm.
fight with
I think so.
mhm. uh, when I try to remember the chapter when we have, I guess, these three different groups that are invading, or three different groups that are going to different areas with different missions in mind. Um, I don't know if that's Hori planning on saying, hey, like this group's more in danger versus this group. With think about how the end of the chapter ended. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that.
I mean, maybe there's potential for that. Especially with the theories of Kaminari, being the traitor and such, and his scream
I mean,
being like a warning for like the villains that they're coming. I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but I think that's just Kaminari being weird, to be honest.
yeah. I thought it was more like a long on the line tag, kind of like
I think it was a.
from One Piece. That's how I took it.
I think it's a gag, but the funny thing about that is that this tells you how that just actually it just showcases how like Hori has people having to think now at this point. Because every time I think there's something that doesn't matter, it means something bigger in the long scheme. So now I think about that about everything,
I guess I thought
which is just good in my eyes.
I thought it was more of
Yeah,
a gag.
he has no throwaways.
No, I mean I think it's a gag too. I'm saying because of the fact that over the course of this series, anything that we just write off as being like a throwaway or a one-off has actually come back in some form of importance. So niggas are now looking at this. Sorry. People are now looking at this, and they're just like, "Oh, this can't just be a gag. It has to be something bigger. It means way more than what we're thinking it is." Because that's how Hori's groomed us to think with his work.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
I think
Yeah, no, I can
that's
see
pretty
that.
nice.
yeah, there's a lot of you could just go back to the very beginning of this series, and you could see foreshadowing that comes along, which is, I I mean I think I know someone who a YouTuber Oceans. You should definitely check him out. I'll leave his link below. He talked about the idea of plot twists and story, and the plot twists in My Hero Academia, and how they do it well. I think that's part of it. Um, but I guess going to a different part of the chapter, if we want to actually start from the very beginning with the doctor that's introduced, who is the, I guess, brains behind the Nomus, and All for One still being alive, even though he had a bunch of damage to his body, and he's the one who's operating on Shiggy. He was actually, uh, turns out he's quirkless, which is, to me, it's okay, well, so All for One has to be there when he's making the no moves. He just can't do it by himself, right? Or what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think maybe in the beginning, I'd agree to some extent, but I think that as time's gone on, that All for One has, I guess, garnered and or rather Shiga, let's call him that, or Ujiko has garnered enough technology to really, I suppose, do that without All for One's assistance. Because I think the Super Nomu, the high end Nomu that he had, are kind of a testament to that. At least in my opinion. I don't know about anyone else, but especially with Muscular, I think his quirk was with high end had that correct. The one that fought Endeavor,
Did he have it, or
or at
was it
least some of
Muscular?
them.
Yeah, yes, but that's a good possibility. That's just his quirk. because he was a member that they revealed that he was actually a street fighter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That maybe that because he has the technology to be able to just copy someone else's quirk cores at this point without All for One's assistance.
I I actually don't think so. Mostly because All for One did muscle enhancement like fivefold, implying to me that implying to me that that's not actually that's a pretty common quirk,
I can see
muscle
that.
augmentation.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
That's how I saw it.
the entire like thing I took away from it was like, okay, well, if he's quirkless, how much work does he actually like? Like, I feel like the only work that he could be actually doing was like, oh, okay, I can tell like you like that these people like will live. Like, I can keep All for One live. He does. He helps create the high ends. Like, he's the entire like 90% of why the high ends are real, like exist in the Nomus. But he can like just monitor them through like health stuff and like data analysis, right? Or surgery. I don't know, but I don't know how much he can do since he's quirkless.
I don't think his status as being a quirkless person really matters, at least in my
Yeah,
opinion,
same.
because
Yeah,
it was
no, I
established that
agree.
it was established. I think a little while ago that he was a smart guy. I think it was mentioned he came up with the whole what's that theory that Seiji mentioned? I can't believe I forgot what it
Talking about
was
the quirk
called.
singularity theory.
Yeah, the quirk
Oh yeah,
singularity theory. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned that he came up with that, but people kind of just blew him off as, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And then All for One kind of saw potential in him. So I think what you mentioned is like the opposite in reality. That All for One is kind of like he's the 10%. He does like 10% of the effort. Like he provides like the quirks and such, but most of the bioengineering or whatever that Ujiko does is done by Ujiko himself, really.
yeah, I guess. Okay.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So I
Hori,
see
he
it.
takes inspiration from a lot of things, and you know, Doctor Frankenstein, he wasn't a, he was just a super.
Hmm.
That's kind of what Yujiko gives off. Nomus,
Yeah.
I agree with him. Purpose,
So
bad.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
yeah. I guess like moving on to a different part of the chapter, like the chapter obviously goes from them revealing the doctor and everything about him, and then it's like how they found it, where the location of the base is. But I was curious more about going in the chapter when he said like, was it him who figured out this hospital? Where is he? And what is he up to now? That's classified for now. Not that I know who you mean by him. I assume it's Hawks, right? You all agree it's Hawks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the higher ups are kind of keeping that a bit quiet
I,
for now.
I guess because they're doing this.
Yeah,
They're
because
doing
I
this
don't think
base raid, right?
anyone knows how.
They're doing this base raid in which, I guess, how many people know that Hawks is in the PLF or is uh, undercover? Because I guess all those people are about to march to attack them or be ready to fight against them. So why don't they just say it's Hawks? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. I think they don't want to just blow his cover just yet, in case that there's like someone outside of Slide and Go that's actually part of the Liberation Army.
Yeah, it makes
It
sense.
reminds me of like the whole theory of Edshot being a part of the PLF, like a sleeper agent of sorts. Um, back when that double spread was dropped in like 246 or 45.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the only people that really know outside of like the association is really just Endeavor.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that
I
makes sense.
think it's whoever gave him, because you know we still obviously spread with that,
Yeah.
so I
Uh.
think they would understand of what's going on, of how many books he gave out to.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know how many. It could be. I mean, he kind of has to keep up that appearance of being part of the Liberation Army, so
Yeah,
boy, who knows how many of those things he's distributed at this point.
that's true. And then the chapter, obviously, there's a commonality thing, which a lot of people are saying. He could be the traitor. It shows Class 1A, someone Class 1B, like, just squared up in the forest. It shows Endeavor, and they talk with the Hawks. And there really isn't that much to take away from the sliding go, and then the Death Arms. I think that's the hero's name. The guy from,
Yeah.
yeah. There really isn't that much to take away. I mean, he just basically captures them. I guess gets them off surprise, in which I assume it's like, yeah, the PLF had no idea that they were about to get surprised, trapped, or like didn't realize that people were onto them. And then the chapter obviously involves into, uh, it shows the main cast, Vernon, uh, coming down from a forest and jumping into the town to evacuate citizens. Then it shows a lot of the main heroes storming the hospital, in which it shows Ujiko with a Denver walking up on him with probably one of the funniest panels probably within the series, I would say, that shows Ujiko's face completely surprised that Endeavor's there, or I guess he's just walking up on him and knows who he is.
I think that's red herring.
A red herring of what?
Well, it's to make it seem as if, oh yeah, the heroes got the drop on them. They're not compared. They're fucked. But instead, what's going to happen is this chapter is ending the way it is to make it seem like the heroes have complete control. But next chapter they're going to start off, and they're going to start, and it's going to be a complete switch up.
I mean,
Yeah,
do you think
I
though,
agree.
like, I mean, Ujiko is quirkless. Do you think he's just gonna pull out the John? What is that? The tiny Nomu called John that teleports. He's just gonna pull out of his like pocket, or how's he able to get away?
Mm-mm.
No,
Oh, he
I
doesn't have to
just
do that. He doesn't have to
go
do that at
ahead,
all.
PG.
He could easily really because he's in the lab right now, right? With was it Endeavor? He's in the lab right now, right?
I mean, it looks like
Yeah,
they're just walking down the
the
hall.
morgue. Yeah,
Yeah, the mall.
Yeah, it looks like a hallway because you see stairs and you see room. So it looks
Yeah, but no way this Ujiko guy's
like
gonna outrun Endeavor or be able to do anything.
Oh, he doesn't have to. Oh, he doesn't have to outrun him. Because the thing is, he could have already had contingencies for this. I don't think Ujiko's the type of person to let nigga get the drop on him.
That's true.
yeah,
Like Ujiko is been shown so far to be a very intelligent individual. And he has a whole bunch of like preparation. He's cautious too. He's very cautious.
Yeah.
He didn't even let the league. He didn't even let the league see his face before they proved themselves to him.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
to me, that tells me that I don't think he ever thought to himself, there's a possibility. I don't think the idea didn't cross his mind that, there's a possibility that they're going to find us before he wakes up.
That's true.
So we got to have some sort of preparation just in case for that.
Yeah.
mm,
That's what I would think.
that's
And
why I think.
I feel the same goes for the PLF as well. I think they also probably have thought the same thing.
Yeah, what I was thinking is that I think Ujiko is aware of the fact that he was actually photographed, and that the person who was undercover in the hospital was undercover in the first place, and he kind of used that as a way to signal to the PLF, oh, by the way, you know, there's like something strange going on around here. You probably want to get ready in case the heroes pull up on you. And I think that, like you said, Ujiko, he probably has contingency plans. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some sort of device to like call on the the higher Nomu, like just to jump the heroes right then and there.
Yeah.
Because I
what you guys thinking
mean,
of the
how
new
else is he
gnome?
going to get out of that situation, really?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I guess.
I think the new gnome move that the new little one plays a part.
Yeah.
Since
I suppose
obviously
the
he's
little
going
one
in the
could do something.
hospital with it. So
I guess like I guess we could go more into obviously a lot of the chapters kind of about the Doctor and revealing who he is, and in which there's a lot of drama this week about the Doctor. But I want to kind of go back to when the Doctor was obviously introduced, which was chapter 1, in which a lot of people obviously had the theory that like before this chapter came out, right? That like he could steal quirks, or there was some case with that. Are you guys kind of glad that that theory about him possibly stealing Deku's quirk is now basically like erased or gone, or that it's not really a possibility anymore?
Please, yes. God bless
I've
that
I've
theory's
never I've
dead.
never
I
thought of it.
think it's a
I've
stupid
never
theory.
thought of it as a possibility.
I never have
Oh,
either, but man, seeing people tout it as being somewhat possible at all is just no. No, that's not. I don't know how you can that sort of thing can cross your mind considering that he probably would have stolen Deku if the quirk was good in the first place. He probably would have stolen Deku and turned him to an Omu, like he did one of
his grandson.
Bakugo's friends. Yeah, his
Yeah, his
grandson.
grandson.
He probably would have
Hmm.
done. He probably would have done the same thing.
You know, my thing about it is, so yeah, so he always took his grandson, who had just green quirk. But if he stole Deku's quirk, that means Deku's quirk had to been better than Bakugo's quirk because they're childhood friends, so they will most likely have the same doctor, given how they live in this.
Agreed.
And
That's
if he
true.
didn't take Bakugo's quirk, why would he take Deku's quirk, who is kind of like his mom can pull small objects to her, breathe fire. I don't think that kind of tops explosive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
So it's like,
actually questioning why he
why
didn't
would he
take
take
Bakugo.
Deku's quirk and not Bakugo? I don't. I see it as that.
yeah. I think that's all valid points, in which I guess we could go more into obviously the Doctor and the controversy uh, sort of around this week, in which yes, the fact that he was quirkless and he's an evil guy. Obviously, that's been set up. He's evil. He is clearly evil. In which his name, as I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, so I'm going to have BG say it.
Oh, Maruta Shiga.
Maruta Shiga, definitely controversy behind uh, that name, as uh, I haven't really done as sort of my research behind it, but the Maruta in Japanese, if I'm correct, is what they is the name of the people that were experimented on in World War II, and so a lot of people took that as that name being put in there was ill intent or vilifying those people who got experimented on. If I'm correct, if that's what's
Yeah, that's pretty
drama,
much right.
and so I think clearly, personally, it's obvious that there was no ill intent because that'd be if he knew the actions and the weight of that, why would he put it in? It's basically like social suicide to have the weight and like drama that happened with this week's chapter. So I think that's just clearly there's no ill intent behind it. And so um, I think you guys all agree that the exact same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
so
I do.
Yeah. From what I got, it also can translate or mean round and bad, which describes
Yeah.
the doctor.
There's that one too.
So I want to say that Tori did it in a way, but I could understand why people were upset about
yeah, and then uh, since the drama was a lot of trending on Twitter in Korea, and I think it was trending in Japan a little bit, but mostly Korea. That's where I saw on it, in which is it was it Shueisha or was it Jump that put out the tweet apologizing or talking about it?
I believe it was a jump.
I have the thing right here, so let me look. Give me a
Dude,
sec.
and then also Horikoshi uh, put out a tweet talking about it, in which
Yo,
um,
it's Jump. It's Jump. It's the Jump editorial department.
I and then
Here's the picture.
okay, in which I'm gonna save this, but what I have on the screen right now is the translation of the tweet, in which the translation of Horikoshi's tweet says a lot of people pointed out that the name Murata, which appeared in the week's Jump issue, brings up past historical events. I never meant that in the naming. We take your comments seriously, and we will replace the name in the future. A lot of people took it as not a real apology, but someone who is also translated it pointed out this, in which it shows that in addition to the translation, Horikoshi has a subtle nuance in Japanese that gets lost in the translation, which is a phrase used to express apology. It's implied in the meaning, but not a direct translation. So, what do you guys think about that?
I think Corey should have just made it more direct, just to get people off his back. To be honest,
I don't, because
Yeah,
the thing about
I don't
that
think
is
he should have done it.
the thing about that is this is how the Japanese operate. They're because he's speaking, and this is like how their culture deals with situations such as this, where it's like I read something talking about how like the way he described it is typically how it's done when you're speaking to a larger group. Because when you're talking, like, there is more direct ways of saying sorry, but that's usually used when you're talking to just one person, like having a one-on-one conversation. But due to how this was phrased, it was based on the fact he's talking to a large group of people and he's offended a whole bunch of people. So what they do in situations such as that is where they'll address the problem, say why it was wrong, and how they're going to fix it. That's how they apologize to large groups of
It's
people.
a cultural difference. That's all it is.
Yeah, but people aren't understanding of the fact that this is a cultural thing, so they're thinking of it. They're taking it more as a, hey, he's just brushing it off. He ain't taking it seriously. Screw him.
And then,
Nah.
yeah, I don't know. I think the situation's obviously, it's obvious there's no ill intent. I don't think that like maybe an apology. I mean, he did say sorry. Obviously, it gets lost in the translation, and he's making the change. I personally think like trying to bully him into, I guess, changing the name or changing the vision, because like, for example, there was a huge set of drama around when Endeavor was being redeemed, because Endeavor is an abuser. He was an abuser to his kids. So a lot of people took offense that Horikoshi seems to be redeeming an abuser, in which there's a lot of drama around that, and it's kind of, I would say, the same as what we saw this week. If you guys would put that in the same scale.
no,
No,
not
you
really.
think this was like way worse?
No, yeah, this is way worse because it was like trending #1 in Korea. Like it had like 120,000 like tweets at one point on Korean Twitter. It was nuts.
You're talking about Isayama stuff?
No, he's talking about Endeavor. Like,
Oh no.
yeah.
Oh no,
it
this
was-
is way worse than Endeavor. I thought you were comparing it to Isayama.
No. And then what I have on the screen right now, it's the his apology or a statement issued by the weekly Shonen Jump editorial staff. It's pointed out that the character Maruta Shiga of My Hero Academia has a name recalling past historical facts, and naming the author and editorial department had no such intention. However, it's not our intention to superimpose the work with unrelated historical facts. Therefore, in consultation with the author, we decided to change the person's name when drawing the manga. And sort of like, I guess I would compare to the Horikoshi thing, because a lot of people are hung up on that there wasn't that much of an apology. This isn't really that much of an apology either. They just said they'll change the name. So I know a lot of people are getting on Horikoshi to have an apology, but no one's also saying this to the editorial department, which they review this, they edit it. No one said anything about this might be a bad idea or this isn't good. And then they kind of just put it all on Horikoshi, which, I mean, I don't know what you guys think of that. I don't say it's like scummy or whatever, but like, I
don't think there's any ill intent on either side, because I can't, and I don't think any blame should be placed on any of them personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact being is because both groups addressed it when they found out it was an issue, and they said they're going to change it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I don't think that's a problem. And even if they didn't, I still wouldn't really put blame on the editorials, because they didn't know about the shit either.
That's true.
Because and it's believable that they didn't know about it, because this isn't taught.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was a huge thing I also saw on Twitter, even though Twitter can be sometimes untrustworthy to say. And it's kind of about the environment or what people learn growing up in textbooks and stuff, and how the Japanese government hides some things that were done in the past. I mean, I can't really speak on that. I don't know if has anyone read anything or seen on that, but kind of goes with your point. It sounds like from what you heard about people don't really just don't know about it. They don't know it's like an issue, or they don't know about like people would be insensitive to that. Um,
I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, absolutely supports this point. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, I don't know what else there really is to say about it at this point. I mean, I mean, I know us four at least have been knee deep in this conversation for about 4 or 5 days at this point, ever since the Korean scans dropped.
yeah,
Um, yeah, there isn't really much new to say other than, yeah, there was no ill intent, and the people that are making dedicated accounts to spam Horikoshi's mentions are, yeah, like that you shouldn't do that. Like, he said what he said. It's evident, that from people that do speak Japanese, right, that edit and then translate stuff from Japanese all the time, that he was trying to apologize. Of course, it wasn't in the way that the Koreans wanted it. It wasn't like they wasn't say, "I'm sorry for doing this." Of course, due to cultural differences, but yeah, I just think that I mean, it'll eventually blow over, and I think it should blow over because, yeah, no ill intent. Then, so there's no real need to criticize Horikoshi in my mind for it at this point.
yeah. I mean, I agree with pretty much with all you said.
I think it's kind of good because it actually brings awareness to a lot of people. Because
Yeah, it
me
did.
myself, I would have never known had this name not been brought up. And so I don't think obviously it's not, but I don't think it's necessarily bad either. Because you know people are they're more aware of the fact, the name, and what had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
If you want to be, a bit positive about the situation, there's at least that one good thing that came out of it.
that's true. Uh, I mean, the chapter was good.
Hmm.
The drama definitely showed history to people that had no idea about it. Uh, I mean, it's tough to deal with because there is that group of people that are hurt by this. But there's the people who just don't clearly know about it, and there became a lot of drama on Twitter. Do people kind of questioning why, or there's a lot of people questioning why do people would be insensitive, or why would people like care this much? And it's kind of hard to see it from that point of view since you don't grow up in that or you don't really have the history of that, which has shed light to a lot of that. So I mean, that's how I kind of view it. Um, but besides that, I guess to kind of end this podcast slash discussion, whatever you call it, uh, I know BG, you already gave your take about what do you think is going to happen in the next chapter, in which you think is like a red herring for that very end panel. Do you guys think along the same thing about to be a red herring and that Ujigo's gonna pull something up his sleeve to, I guess, make it a fair fight. I don't know.
Yeah, Conker, you go first.
Oh yeah. I think the two biggest points that's going to play a part is one, Shigaraki's going to wake up early to be ready. I don't have any doubts about that. 100%. And I think the new Nobu that was shown is going to play another part. I can kind of see the Doctor eluding Endeavor in some kind of fashion uh, to get to that office, the room he was in, where the Nomu is. So I'm kind of expecting this chapter. I wouldn't be surprised if we the raid on the
Yeah. Um, I suppose for my take, I don't, to be honest, as much as I'd like for my idea of the higher Nomu, kind of like or Ujiko calling down the high Nomu like from within the lab to jump the heroes. I don't think that the lab we saw them in is the same place where the morgue is, under the hospital. I think that those two places are different. Um, so I think at the very least there'll be like Nomu there, but like maybe some like just a bunch of like like sort of like lower end ones that will allow Ujiko to escape somehow. Whether he uses that little itty bitty Nomu that was with him, or through some other method, I suppose.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think the Doctor's ultimately going to get away.
because like I think about the high end, like obviously from the high end fight we see in Pro Hero, it took the number one and number two hero to beat that high end. And so if he calls down one, like with all those professional, I guess like top ranked heroes, are they gonna be able to like? I don't think they'd be able to beat him like that quickly. In which it would definitely allow him time to escape. I don't know. I guess obviously we'll have to see where that goes with that. Um, I guess for my take, I just you guys kind of all same thing. He'll probably get away. It's like there's no way like they capture him and it's like he's out of play for the rest of the arc for the war. If it does turn out to be a full on war arc, which I assume it is because he wouldn't put these like three groups of people in different areas and draw all these characters together just to like have no value in like 2 chapters. If they're like they catch the peel off all by surprise, right? Um, but it's kind of been over 30 minutes, so I kind of like to end it here. All these people who were able to talk in this discussion, all their Twitters will be down below. Hopefully, we could do it for next week as well and put out a sort of similar thing we did here today. I doubt it'll be as
Yes,
long
sir.
because I hope there's not much drama next week for whatever the chapter is going to be, like we saw this week. But thanks for tuning in. I guess subscribe if you're interested and want to see more. Okay, bye.